Welcome to the Seed Creative Podcast, the podcast where we discuss both video production and just life in general. The goal of this podcast is the same as the goal of our business, to make a difference in people's lives.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Let's try to do it in sync.
3, 2, 1.
Hello. Oh, I thought, and welcome. I thought we were going to keep going.
Oh, okay. 3, 2, 1.
Hello, and welcome to this
week's
Seed
We're not as in sync as we thought we were.
All right, yeah, this is going to go great. Hello, and welcome to the Seed Creative Podcast. I'm your host, Nick Golden. This is my co-host, George Edmondson.
Hello.
What are we talking about this week, George Edmondson?
I don't know.
You don't remember?
Mm-mm.
Okay, this week we're talking about making hard decisions.
Yeah.
Borderline heartbreaking decisions, maybe?
Yeah. As a business owner,
Yeah.
it's something that has to be done on a daily basis.
I've been fired. No.
Yeah. That wasn't a hard decision. You like that?
Yeah, that was
pretty funny. Probably the hardest decision we ever had to make was moving forward on when we're working on this documentary.
Yeah.
That we actually won an Emmy for. So
Was that actually a really hard decision, or
It was
just a terrible segue?
that was horrible. I just wanted to get it in so we didn't forget.
Yeah, that's probably good.
So, all right, let's just say this. There's a big truck backing up a lot. So if you hear beeping, it's outside of our studio. There's a lot of construction going on next door.
I'll run dialogue isolate. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, we'll see what
if
happens.
you don't hear it, it's because isotope is amazing.
It is. Well, isotope is amazing either way. But,
Yeah, see.
yeah, I heard the plosive. You're
Turn it
right.
up a little bit.
Okay.
George
All right.
can't be trusted with plosive.
I
See,
can't
I
be
can talk
trusted.
straight into the mic without a plosive.
I can't. But so I've got like 25 minutes. So this will be a short episode.
That's fine. These
but
people
yeah,
are like so bored already.
I'm sorry. So earlier today, we were discussing something. I have made the decision to slow down the efforts that we were going to start making on the, not necessarily the podcast studio, but just like the overall services of video podcasts for clients. So
I mean, let's be more clear. It was you and Christy that decided.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Christy. So Christy is, my wife, and she is a huge part of Seed Creative, especially behind the scenes, things that go on that people don't know about, and big decisions that are made. But basically, what we've decided is that we want to still pursue the video podcast studio in the back room, just a little slower and not as aggressively as we were going to initially.
Right.
For a few reasons. But one of the reasons is that as we're continuing to grow this side of our business and our services, we need to allow the services and the Seed Creative Podcast and the podcast studio to grow with our clients and with the demand, as opposed to trying to force a demand
Right.
for these services, if that makes sense at all.
Yeah.
I think it does. I know that we're all about, like, if you build it, they will come, and that's true to an extent, but we also have realized that we've already built a very viable service and a very real way of doing this, where we can still do video podcasts with clients and we don't have to be so hardcore, like it has to be in the back room, because what we do here is great. We've realized we think what we do with what we did with Mildred Black, who's our first kind of guinea pig. She said it herself. She's like, "I'll be the guinea pig," of like sort of a trial run tester of offering this. Is that either way, like, we can get really good quality with the cameras that we have right now, with the lighting, with the audio setup that we have, stuff like that, and then move more slowly but more intentionally with the back. Because I think I was all about, like, oh, let's just get it all done at once.
Right.
And
I was too. Yeah.
We both were. But if you've been listening to this podcast at all, one of the things that I kind of pride myself on is the fact that we usually make very, very slow, intentional, thought out decisions with everything that we do. And we just feel like we don't need to be too aggressive with it and just kind of let it grow organically.
Right.
And I think that if we do it that way, that we're going to have a better podcast studio in the back than just like throwing it all together as quickly as we can.
Right. And I mean, it's not like we got stuff today, like, we didn't just cancel it.
No. We're just not ordering everything at once. We had the plan, and we still might do this, I don't know, but we were like, okay, like, let's get C300s, and so everything's going to match, and they have SDI out, and they're going to work with this new system that we're getting, and all this stuff. But then I was like, man, like the original C300, even though it's a great price and probably a good look, at the end of the day, it is still, if anyone wants a 4K video podcast, we can't do it.
Yeah.
And so we were just like, let's just chill. We can make this work. We'll figure it out. And maybe I don't know, maybe we just wait and save a little more, and we do go with like all C200s or something like that. You know what I mean? That way we have the 4K offering, but it's still in a light enough video codec that it's not killing us shooting in like 4K ProRes HQ, and you know what I mean? Like the files are just astronomical.
Yeah, that was kind of a reason. We're getting really technical here, but like that's kind of the reason we went against going with like a Blackmagic, because it was just, it looks fine, but the file sizes, like we used it for some of this podcast. We killed the fourth camera on this podcast basically just because of the file sizes.
Yeah, the files are just they're too big. Even with we're about to have a new one installed, but even with a 100 terabyte server, I'm like, it's just, these files are too big, dude. And we're clocking like 100 plus gigs per camera per podcast. That's too much.
Yeah, I mean, for this podcast, as soon as the episode releases, I kill all the raw files. We just keep the edited versions because we don't really have a need for it, but we'll have to keep the files for a long time
for the client. Just
so,
in case, because you never know.
Yeah.
So anyway, I guess that's just one of many big decisions that everyone in life has to make these huge decisions. But I definitely feel like if you own a business, or if you're a freelance video person or anything like that, you're definitely making a lot more of them, whether you realize it or not. Yeah. You're making decisions that can impact the rest of your career potentially. If you start to buy into a certain system and it's like, all right, well, I guess I'm a Panasonic guy.
Right.
And you start moving into the Panasonic ecosystem, and then you realize maybe this isn't the best for my workflow. And so then you have to start selling all your Panasonic and switching to a different lens mount and like switch, you know what I mean? So I guess my encouragement is it's okay to be slow when you're doing stuff like this and not rush into stuff. And I mean, just like with you, like you're at your age, you're in like very big thought about like, what are my next steps after college? Mm-hmm. Like that's not something that you just do hastily.
No. Yeah. And I think too, it's okay to realize what you want versus what you need. And I think that's kind of what happened.
Yep.
I would say there was a 2% chance that if we had just pulled the trigger and ordered everything and did it right now, that it actually would have come back to like haunt us. But that's probably too big of a risk. It needs to be 100%.
Yeah. No, I agree.
And the thing is, like, use the C300 for the example, like we might need new iMacs in the next year, and that's 3 of those is 3 iMacs.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I thought about it too, because, you sent me the text and I was kind of like, I was disappointed, but like there was a part of me that knew you were right. So I didn't respond to anything because I just was like, I need to like, because it was surprising. It was surprising, but I need to like get in a good headspace about it and like think through like, because I know you and I know your reasoning so I usually don't even really need to ask because I don't know. I'm starting to think like you because I've been around you a lot.
Well, that might be a good thing. And basically what that means is you're starting to think like Christy, because at the end of the day, she and I talk about everything. And I'm going to say 99%, even though we all know it's 100. 99% of the time, she is right. When she's like, you do need to do this or you don't need to do this. She is very wise. I call her a wise old owl all the time. And what's funny though is like my mom has said like, Christy, you're so wise and stuff. And it's like, I didn't tell my mom to say that. Like, she just is.
Yeah.
She's very thoughtful. She thinks about everything 50 times before opening her mouth about like her opinion on stuff.
And this is why she's coming on the podcast.
I hope.
Please.
She was going to come today, but we weren't able to make it work. So we're hoping we'll get her on soon.
Maybe next episode?
Maybe. I don't know. Well, we're going to keep teasing you for it.
It's like Jared Land. We did it for like 20 episodes.
Christy will be here, and she's the real reason, and I've talked about this too, but she's the reason Seed Creative exists.
Absolutely.
And so that's the other thing is that was her decision. She was like, you need to do this. And then I was like, oh man, I don't know. But she was like, no, like I've thought about it. You can make video a career. We're just going to figure it out. And she was right.
So let's talk about this. Let's use this as an example. Our like this decision that has been made.
Yep.
To like, let's go back to what you're saying about people having to make tough decisions, especially freelancers. So I don't actually know this. So like up until 2 or 3 days ago, at least in our conversations, it was full steam ahead.
Yes.
So not what changed, but what did Christy say something? Did you just say, what kind of developed there? I want you to illustrate what happened for other people.
I think that she knew deep down, even though that I hadn't just blatantly said it, I think she knew that I was a little bit like, should we go just so hardcore on this all at once?
Right.
Because I mean, look, it's gonna be a lot of money.
Yeah.
Like a lot of money to do it all at one time
and to do it right.
Yeah. Correct. And not only that, but she was also like, look, we've got other things that are a priority that we should be working toward, and the podcast studio, like, I'm just going to be super transparent. The podcast studio is not ultra priority because as of right now, the demand has not met the expectations I had for it. I think that people do want it and they are going to do it. I'm still sold on that, but I don't think anyone's in a hurry. I don't think anyone's like knocking on our doors like, when is the podcast studio done? Because we need to do it. Because what she said was, and this is correct, Mildred was in a hurry, and look, we did it. We just did it with our current cameras and our current kind of setup, and it worked out well. I mean, her stuff looks awesome.
Yeah.
And
we learned a lot.
We learned a lot too. Yeah. What's wrong?
I thought I heard something. Sorry.
Oh. Yeah, we learned a ton, and so it's like, she's right. We can absolutely still do it as a service. And she was like, it's a full day. It's a production day either way.
Right.
Just treat it like it's a psych wall day. It's the same thing. And I was like, yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
We're just trying to get it where it's out of the way so that it can happen. And
she's
we can
do both at the same time.
But she's like, but it's not to where you're booking so many of those where it's becoming an issue. So it's not an issue right now. So we're okay to just book the studio for the day whenever we do have that.
So so it's transitioning from we think we need it to
we don't really need it. We just want it.
Yeah, and if we do it slowly, it makes more sense because by the time we have this dedicated place with the cameras and all of that, wasn't this big upfront thing. It's just kind of like this slow accumulation. It's a trickle. And now it's back there.
Yeah. It's a trickle. Yeah. It's a trickling thing. And so what you said earlier, I also wanted to touch on is talking about like making decisions based on what you want or based on what you actually need.
Yeah.
And I guess the thing is we could just go ahead and do it now.
Yeah.
We could do that. And I want to do that. But we don't really need to do that. It's just not a good business decision, not to do it all at one time. We can invest our time and money in things that we do feel like we need, like we're getting this thing called an Atomos Sumo 19, and it does live switching, and we're going to use it for the podcast. But the reason we're going to go ahead and pull the trigger on that now yes, it can do all the switching and we're going to use it for the podcast, but it's also a really great field recorder. And I like the redundancy side of we can record locally to our cameras and on the Atomos as a backup. So
and we've just needed it.
We need a field monitor. We have a tiny little 7-inch field monitor that we barely ever use. Like, we need a legitimate one. This is a good one. So things like that, we did it. We wanted the new interface because we want to stop using a Firewire interface for our audio recording. So we went ahead and got it today. Yeah. We got some more XLRs. We're gonna, you know what I mean? So we're just gonna do it slow. We're just not ordering everything at once. We spent so much time today looking for a desk.
Yeah.
And it's like, if we were to just be hasty about it and just buy a desk, we're gonna regret it. You know what I mean? We're gonna be like, this desk is okay, but I really wish we would have done this style of desk or whatever.
Yeah.
So now we don't feel as pressured, and we're going to make the right decision, make a better decision. Maybe allocate money that we were going to spend on multiple cameras to say, okay, well, we've got a little bit more. We could do a little bit nicer desk, or we could do, you know what I mean? Whatever. A little bit nicer sound panels in the room, whatever. So
who knows when the first episode will be back there, but it's not crazy far away.
Nah, it's not too far away. It's just not next week. Like we were literally going to try to have it done in a week or two.
By the end of the year.
Yeah, by the end of the year, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. So make decisions based on like facts and based on what you need to do versus what you want to do.
What's something that you feel like we need, like earlier you were talking about like, I just feel like this is a good example. Like, using all of this as an example to, like, apply as a template to other examples is good. You know, earlier you said you want to be able to leave the door open for another opportunity. Like, what did you mean by that in terms of, like, financially?
You're going to have to repeat the question. I was looking at a text from Adam. It's Adam's fault.
Adam. You know how earlier you were saying, well, another reason we want to kind of like slow down on this is so we can leave the door open for other like financial opportunities. Like, do you want to like expand on that at all?
So I guess, are you asking like we have other things that we need to be focused on before this?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's business side of things that, and then there's personal sides of things. I mean, you know, Christy and I have been wanting to, you know, buy land and stuff like that. And it's like, you have to think about every single thing that we do as a business. Like, obviously, I'm cutting out from things that we could do as a family in order to invest in the business. And this is just long overdue. Like, we want to buy land. We want to build a house. So there's that, just in full transparency. But then there's also, we always feel like it's a good idea to have more reserves in general, because you never know what's around the corner. We sometimes, you know, especially in like the Christmas season and stuff, people go on vacation, people are gone. Like, we want to be able to treat y'all well. And this is something that we haven't really fully discussed openly with y'all, but like, we want to be able to say, look, you're going to be off for 2 weeks, but here you go. Like, this is going to cover you for 2 weeks or whatever.
Right.
Like, things like that. You know what I mean?
Like a
vacation
big business would do.
Yeah. Like, here's a bonus for the end of the year, whatever. And so that, you know, just the little things. It's a bunch of little things that add up to big things.
Right. And this would be the big thing that would keep us from doing all the little things.
Potentially.
Potentially. Not definitely. Like I said, I don't know, 2% might not be the right number, but a percentage chance which is too big.
Yeah. If you're not 100% on something, if you feel uneasy about it whatsoever, you can wait. You can give it another week or whatever. You know what I mean? You can slow down a little bit and just see what happens. I'll give you a great example of a purchase that I made based fully on something that I wanted and we did not need. I'm still glad that we have it, but...
Let me guess. Do you think I can get it?
Maybe.
Has it been since I've been here?
Yeah.
The van.
No. I've got to get a new battery for it.
That something that we have that we didn't need, but we just wanted.
I just wanted, yeah. It's back there. It's in a case.
I have no idea. Oh, the giant red lens.
Yeah, dude, we didn't need that lens.
Yeah, we use it all the time.
No, we don't. That's the thing.
We use it once.
We use it every now and then.
It's awesome.
We might use it on a shoot coming up soon. But yeah, it's like I saw it. It was at a good price. I wanted it, so I bought it.
Yeah.
And Christy was like, "Why did you do that?" I was like, "Because we needed a good lens." It's like, okay,
It was worth it for the shoot that you used it on. It was worth it.
Yeah, it paid for it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. But we could have used that somewhere else.
That's true.
So I mean, it's like, sometimes you make a decision, you're like, it's fine, whatever. Now we have it, but we didn't need it. So, like, for instance, that lens on this camera that's pointing at me is cracked on the front, but the glass is fine. It's just like
both are.
Yeah, both rings are cracked, but we don't need to replace them because they work.
No.
I want to.
Well, hopefully, if you see this episode and it's only the wide, you know what happens.
Yeah. Yeah, but
No.
I will hold on to crap until it completely falls apart.
Yeah.
Like
the snake that we are using is from 1980 or something.
Yeah, and it works.
It's amazing. It's
Yeah,
better
why
than
not?
using regular XLR.
Yeah, it works, so why not?
Yeah.
Like, I don't give a crap what it looks like as long as it works.
As long as it looks good on your end.
Yeah, like, that's all that matters. So, for instance, like, this tripod that this camera is also on is literally a Frankenstein of a tripod. It's a random Manfrotto base and then a random Manfrotto extension pole and then a Benro head on top.
And now it's like our best one.
Yeah, I mean, that's what's funny is like our Frankenstein tripods are like great. But, I hold on to junk. I don't care if it looks ugly. It works. The 5D Mark III is still our stills camera.
Yep.
We still use it to this day. That's
Used it yesterday.
We used it yesterday for a paying shoot. And guess what? The client loves the images. Because it's a great camera.
We almost use it more than the C100. If you
Yeah.
really think about it these days. And I totally agree with you. I mean, I'm the same way. I am almost too scared to use stuff sometimes. Like, I'm just weird about it's because I don't have any money. Like, I couldn't replace, if I had a C100 and dropped it, like, you could replace that lens, but if I messed up that lens, I probably couldn't afford it. Like, if it was my camera.
Right.
So, that's where I relate to you in, the scale of decisions, if that makes sense. It's like a similar thing for me.
Yeah.
Something I think is similar that would be interesting to talk about of why you did pull the trigger to do is, I don't know exactly, but I feel like the cyc wall is about the same price as what we would invest into.
Podcast room's a little more.
Okay, well,
But
close.
Not much.
What was the difference there? Obviously, it's a totally different thing. Has a totally different use, but just kind of explain to me your decision making there.
Yeah, so with the cyc wall, building it, I knew for a fact we would use it constantly, and we do.
Yeah.
Because it's usable in multiple areas, and this is actually a good tie back to something I talked about a second ago, but we use the cyc wall all the time, and we can use it for so many purposes. Podcast studio, you use it for one thing, podcasting. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all you use it for. So back to the Atomos. It was multi-purposed. Mm-hmm. We're going to use it for the podcast, but we also need a great field monitor. We need it to do redundant recording. It's serving three purposes.
Right.
So then I feel a little bit better. These lenses, they can go on multiple cameras.
Right.
That makes sense. There's a multi-purpose. You know what I mean? It's not just going to sit there. Same with the C300s. We were going to pull the trigger on it, and those were going to be cameras that were stationary and never move. They're only there for the podcast studio. So you've got to think about from a cost to return ratio. We're about to pump so much money into this podcast studio, buying new cameras, new lenses, new SD cards, new all this stuff.
Yeah.
We have to book so many days in podcasts to recoup all that before we start to make a profit. And as of right now, the demand is not there to justify that high of an expense. Makes sense? We would be in the red for a while.
And I think, the cyc wall was just...
Oh, the cyc wall's paid for itself 10 times over already.
I also just think we knew for sure it was good. It's weirder because we actually, when you had already fully committed, we actually had less... It's weird because, we had less for sure interest in it, but we knew.
Yeah.
Because we've seen it. It's in other things.
And we use it. And because people come to our studio, and for the longest time, we're shooting on paper rollouts. You know what I mean? So like we knew that the demand for just talking head interviews and stuff like that was there anyway. So again, and it's multi-purposed. We've used it for many, many things. And so, yeah, the psych wall has more than paid for itself. So we're good there.
And like, I've heard many people tell me that they think the psych wall is the thing that is going to continue to pull clients in for a very long time. Yeah, because it's impressive.
It looks cool. It makes our studio like, it looks awesome.
It makes it feel like a studio. It's not just an office that we happen to shoot in. It is a studio.
Yeah, no, it's built to be shot on. So anyway, I'm getting kind of close to where I need to head on out. But yeah, I thought earlier when we were talking about it, I knew that you were kind of upset in that decision, but I also knew you would understand. But like, I guess I wanted to say like, I'm equally as upset in my own decision.
And I didn't act upset.
No, but I knew you were. You were a little bit like, oh man. So
I didn't say anything.
Yeah, but I knew you were because that's how I felt.
Yeah.
But in my heart, and Christy, you know, reconfirmed this for me. I knew I was like, we just don't need to do that right now. We can slowly build it. We can use the cameras we have. The cameras we have are fantastic, but we don't need dedicated cameras sitting in there until the demand is there. And once the demand is there, pull the trigger, buy some more cameras, buy some more lenses,
and whatever. In the meantime, do the little things. Because at this point, I mean, now that we're getting the Atomos, oh wait, was I not supposed to say what it was?
Yeah, we said that earlier.
I didn't know if we called it, if we said it was an Atomos.
Yeah.
Okay, well now that's the only thing that we're getting that's like actually super expensive.
Yeah,
everything else is going to be like $100 here or there.
Yeah. We spent like $3 today, and that'll go. But again, these are also things that we need just in general.
Right.
It's nice to just have because we're going to use it for multiple things, like the Evo 8 that we bought. Yes, we're going to use it for podcasting mostly, but I'm sure we will get into a situation where we're like, oh, we can run the Atomos and we can do it this way. You know what I mean? Or the Evo. So anyway, yeah, I want things to be multi-purposed. That's it. I'm going to let you do the outro.
Ooh, I got to do the outro too? Okay.
Yeah.
We don't want to try to sync it up this time?
No.
Okay. Thank you for watching the Sea Creative Podcast. Check out more. Last week was really cool. What?
I'm just doing what you're doing.
You're just doing what I'm doing. Last week was really cool. I talked to Coker about him making West Alabama Park, which I thought was really cool and something I can't do. So, yeah, I hope autofocus isn't on because it may have just focused on you, and that would be kind of funny.
It'd be all right.
Anyway, that's it. Check us out next Monday. Sorry, I'm getting confused now.
You're a terrible podcast producer.
Hey, I'm distributing multiple podcasts now, and I keep getting confused. All right, anyway, that's it.
Oh, if you want to book us, we are still offering video.
Let's be clear. We're doing podcasts. Yeah. Please come.
We're offering that service. We're just not in the studio yet.
I dare you to come so we can change his mind.
you still are getting that lower tier price point that we're promoting right now.
Yeah.
So if you come in before that studio's done, you're going to get that lower price point. And you're going to be able to put out a lot of content for a really affordable cost. So
you can say what it is if you want to. I mean, you have it public.
Yeah, we've got it posted. So look, we're doing $3,500. Gets you a full day of recording.
That's a full month of episodes.
That's a month of content. Around 3 to 4 hours worth of content that you're putting out there. And if you're like awesome at whatever it is that you do, you can talk about it nonstop.
Yep.
And people that are interested in what you're talking about will listen. They will look at you as an authoritative figure, and it will help your business grow. We have found that this has helped our business grow.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, Mildred Black, who's working with us, is already seeing that people are responding to the things that they're saying. And that's the whole point, is to get you out there. And if you're an expert, you should have nothing to worry about. Just come and do your thing and talk. We'll make you look good, and you get that reduced rate. It's $3,500 for the day. That's with the editing. Keep that in mind. With the editing, we're doing distribution for you for an additional $500. For additional $350, one-time fee. We will build an intro and an outro for you, a custom intro and outro that Coker does, and he's amazing at it.
Look up People Plus Culture Vodcast, and watch her intro. It's incredible.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
So, and there you go. I mean, you just got, realistically, if you do all of that, what is that? $4,300 just got you a freaking month
of
content.
4 hours.
4-ish hours of content of you speaking and being an authoritative figure in your field, and you're doing something that no one else is doing in Tuscaloosa.
Yep, that's
or
definitely
if they are doing it, they're not doing it as well as we're gonna do it.
Yeah,
100%. So if you want to actually get noticed and you want to do things the right way, talk to us and do it now, because soon prices are going up. As soon as we get that thing done back there, and we are working on it, we're just moving a little slower.
That's the ad. We're gonna cut that out as an ad.
Cut it out. Cut it out.
Anyway, that's it. Bye.
This podcast was produced by Nick Golden with executive producer George Edmondson, edited by Nick Golden and Gavin Manning. Be sure to subscribe, drop a like and a comment. Tune in every Monday for brand new podcast content, and we'll see you on the next one.